swear I practiced. Super like, oh my god, it needs to be perfect. Too much damn water. Yeah. All right, guys, let's talk about the modernized AK. Now, the premise of this video was that I really wanted to see, is it worth really taking an AK and making it modern? I know a lot of people have been talking about here of late on it, at least the YouTubes, of like no recoil AKs. This one actually still has a little bit of recoil. Essentially, the hack there is if you want zero recoil, put a huge muzzle brake on your AK and it won't move at all. This one still, even with its compensator, is pretty good. It's a little bit loud, but it gets the job done. Enough recoil mitigation. But yeah, so as far as my overall impressions, especially today, really running it and putting it through some paces of, you know, fire, like rapid fire and weapon transitions and such. What do I think of the modernization of it? Or does it really add, like, is it worth doing? I would say within reason, there are certain things worth modernizing on an AK. As far as the actual rail goes, the rail was probably the thing I was most excited for, but honestly probably has some of the least or most negligible effect on it. Now, it is true that if you want to add, like, you know, legacy features or things that make your rifle a little bit more functional, things like lights, lasers, even forward mounted red dot optics, having a modernized rail will essentially become necessary. But as for like actual, like adding stuff like grip stops and such, I don't know if they really make a huge difference in actually mitigating your recoil and really making you a much, much better shooter. So I don't know, as far as that goes, I'd say it's a 50-50. It definitely makes your gun look a lot cooler, but it leaves some to be desired. As far as forward mounted optics, that is probably one of my favorite things about AKs, because I do like the scout style appearance where you can actually see a lot of what's going on around you while still having the quick aiming of the red dot. Now, unfortunately, there's been a lot of snow today, so the red dot did get a little bit covered by snow through the different weapon transitions and such. But overall, I would say having something like a scout style optic mounted up front is really good. And definitely a big fan of the Samson rail, because the Samson rail puts this rail above your gas tube. So this is not an integral part of your gas tube, which is actually very nice, because that means that through like the rapid fire and such, we weren't really seeing a lot of heat up of the red dot, which can be a problem with some gas tubes have integral pick rails. Definitely want to avoid those. So anyways, other modernized features that I think are actually pretty simple but really, really nice are, one, having a hobnob on here. This thing makes it so much easier, especially when you are doing the Russian reach around or any kind of, try to grab this thing. It makes once again, the charging handle so much easier to grab. You get a lot more traction, and it's super, super easy. So that is something that is actually pretty cheap, but I would highly recommend putting on there. As I mentioned in other videos too, I really like having a good aftermarket trigger, because if you do that, I think a lot of the problems with AKs can be solved with having just a really decent trigger. Now, obviously, AKs are not inherently accurate systems, so this is not going to be a precision rifle. You're not going to be taking this thing out to 500 yards. You can theoretically do that, but as far as making this more of an effective, close to medium range rifle, I think having a decent trigger, having a decent charging handle, like kind of modification or extension, really makes it a lot more user friendly. And yeah, so those are kind of my overall impressions of modernizing an AK. Other things I'd probably recommend is an aftermarket muzzle device. AKs, they don't have tons of recoil, but they're kind of similar to, ARs in 5.56, where if you can just absolutely delete the recoil, you can actually get an incredibly fast shooting, very, very formidable platform with a modernized AK. So overall, I think that's kind of my impressions with it. As far as the C39 V2, that's what this rifle is. As my mic fails, it's running flawlessly. Tons of people give me loads of hate on the C39 V2, but it is a very functional rifle. Still love this guy, and do recommend them. But anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you enjoyed the shooting. As always, God bless, and I'm out.